Okay, good morning, everybody. I'm going to be talking really quick, and then I'm going to be clicking this button, and you will be listening to the testimony of a ex-Reiki worker. And so this part of the series, which I thought would be super simple, was just show testimonies of people that have been involved in certain practices and why they left. All right, so here we go. I think I can mute myself and this still play, but I'm not quite sure.
In Japan who believe that, again, we can channel source energy into ourselves. I decided I was going to have my own Reiki business at this point. You visualize a white light. I would literally invite the person's spirit guides in. That's literally me saying, hey demons, let's have a party. Did it work? And the answer is yes, it works. It's demonic healing. It's the counterfeit of laying with hands. So Reiki, if anyone's not familiar with that term, it is energy healing. It is the demonic version of laying hands, basically. Wow. And Reiki was made by, which is even weird to say, came from this guy in Japan who believed that, again, we can channel source energy into ourselves, and the universe, the God consciousness will heal somebody through us, like travel down through us through our hands and onto this person. So again, the demonic laying of hands. And this is something that I started receiving after I was involved with the yoga practice, because it's like, oh, my chakras are off. Why do I feel this pain in my chest? Oh, it's my heart chakra. It needs clearing. It needs cord cutting. Well, let me get some Reiki done. And this is when I started forming friendships with people. This is when I started having really intimate relationships with other New Agers, which I'll get to later about how they rejected me super hard when I turned to Christ. They were facilitating Reiki on me. I was facilitating Reiki on them. I went ahead and got my Reiki certification, which is so weird to think about, that you can become certified in energy healing when it's just you know what I mean? Like it's like a non-physical thing, but here's your certification for it that you paid for. When all you have to do is ask God to give you the Holy Spirit. Anyway, I decided I was going to have my own Reiki business at this point. So I started having people come over, and this plays into the crystals. You see how this is all connected, right? So this plays into the crystals. I would have angel cards out. Pick a card while you're here. Maybe that's what we need to focus on today. Maybe that's what the session needs to be about. And it was like a therapy session. Like I'd have them sit down on my couch, tell me what they need, what they're going through, so I could try and tune in. And I don't mean to use this voice, but when I look back, it sounds so silly to me. And I don't know how else to portray it, because it's sad and ridiculous. But so they'd sit on my couch and I'd have them go through what they need help with. And so they would lay down on the table. I would, here's how you pray within the Reiki sense. You visualize a white light in the room. So I would mentally set up 4 pillars of white light in every corner of the room. And then I would bind that all up with an all-encompassing white light. And then I would invite angels in. I would invite in Archangel Michael and Archangel Gabriel and Archangel Raphael and just all the spirit guides. I would literally invite the person's spirit guides in. That's literally me saying, hey demons, let's have a party. And wow. I would invite my grandmom to help. I would invite Jesus.
Everybody's getting invited.
I would invite Buddha. I would invite the Reiki masters of the past. It was insane what I was doing. And people have asked me this too. Michael Knowles asked me this. Did it work? And the answer is yes, it works. It's demonic healing. It's the counterfeit of laying with hands. So you feel it come through. You feel it come out of your hands. You feel it over top of the person. You can kind of navigate the energy that way. And you're supposed to swirl it around and do all these things and clear the chakras. And you get visuals of certain colors, and that kind of indicates like when something is clear or not. Really crazy. Basically like hallucinating, like a psychedelic drug, which again, spiritual narcotics. That's why I always say that, because these things are spiritual highs.
Wow.
So, I was doing Reiki regularly, and my Reiki business never took off the way I wanted it to. Like COVID happened and all that. Sorry to say that word. The thing happened, and that played a big factor in it, but it just never took off the way I wanted it to. And I was always so disappointed. And of course, it was always like, well, something's blocked within me. That's why it's not like, so I have like an abundance block. I have a self-worth block. Again, the self-help thing. It's all this stuff is just like a big smorgasbord of new age propaganda, of demonic deception. And so really what that was God's protection. And I found out later that Alyssa, when she found out that I was getting involved in all that stuff, she started praying not for my eyes to be open, but she started praying, Lord, protect her. And so now I start thinking back to all this stuff that never really happened the way I wanted it to. And I see now that was God answering her prayer and actually protecting me. Wow. My Reiki business never took off because he didn't want me to get so sucked into it that when I had to pull away eventually, I would have been in like a financial pickle or something. So it's really, really miraculous when I look back on my experience in New Age and really my entire life. And I see the way that God was working for me, even when I hated him. Wow. And it makes me emotional because he loved me so much when I rejected him and when I blasphemed him, when I compared Jesus to Buddha. He was still waiting for me. He still died for me, even in that. And so whoever's listening, if you were in that bondage, like he loves you so much and he died for you. Like he had you in mind specifically, and he doesn't want you doing what you're doing. But anyway, so the Reiki eventually led to, well, okay, I'm getting Reiki, I'm doing yoga, and I want to say this is probably like 2017. Yeah. I'm getting Reiki, I'm doing yoga every day, I'm reading the self-help books, I have all these healing crystals, I sage my house, I do this, I do that, I eat healthy now, right? I'm at a healthy weight, I look better, I feel better. Why am I still depressed? So like, what's that about? Because I'm doing all of the things. I'm doing everything that I possibly can to make myself better, spiritually, mentally, physically. Why am I still sad? I don't get it. So I'm up late Googling basically what's wrong with me. And again, this is a time in my life where at that time, I thought like I looked better than ever. I thought I was like at the top of my game with what I was doing work-wise at the time. And I was so attuned with my new group of friends and my yoga practice and getting my yoga cert and all these things. And so why am I sad? Like I'm Googling it. It's like 3:00 in the morning. Why do I feel depressed? Why do I feel lonely? And I would type in like, why do I feel depressed? Spiritual. So like I wanted it to come through the lens of spirituality. And so I started finding this stuff about how it was basically like WebMD of spirituality. It's like, do you have these symptoms? Do you feel lonely? Do you feel isolated? Have you never quite fit in? Have you been bullied? Have you XYZ, like always had this kind of undertone of despair, of homesickness? And I'm just like checking off the boxes. Yes, yes, yes. And I get to the bottom and it says, you could be a star seed. And I was like, wow, that's a cool word. Like, what is that? It sounded cool. Who wouldn't want to be a star seed? And I'm very at the time, like, this is before I dove deep into astrology, but I was very much so into like the celestial aesthetic, like moons and stars and things like that. So I was like, ooh, a star seed, what's that? And I keep reading and it talks about how star seeds are essentially, I would like everyone to just bear with me through this. Star seeds are essentially light beings or aliens from other galaxies, other planets, star systems, such as Andromeda, Pleiades, Orion, all of that, that have made the decision based on their level of higher consciousness, because they're in a higher dimension than our 3D. They have made the decision to come to planet Earth to ascend Gaia, which is what it's the polytheistic god of the earth. It's Mother Nature, Gaia. To ascend Gaia, our whole planet and everyone that inhabits her, into 4D, 5D, 6D, 9D. So that's the idea, is that these light beings come in as humans. They consciously choose to come in, choose their parents, choose their relationships, choose their lessons, because this goes back to like the idea of karma and reincarnation. Of course, it's all same source. It's all Satan. So it all kind of ties in together. Come in to ascend the collective. And that's why I feel this way, because I'm stuck in the third dimensional density of Earth when I am actually used to the 9D. I'm
not trying to laugh here. I'm trying to keep a straight face.
I mean, it's silly. Like, it's crazy, and it's heartbreaking that think about how desperate of a place I was in, that this is what made sense to me.
Yeah.
So I'm reading this, and I start reading more about it, and it just seems to make all the sense in the world to me that, oh yeah, there's aliens walking among us as light workers, as light beings, basically angels incarnate, just walking around here to raise the consciousness of the planet and all the inhabitants on it, because of course all the inhabitants need to be kind of keeping up with the ascension of the planet, and so that's going to come from a spiritual awakening. And when you compare that to to Jesus came. Why did Jesus come? To bring salvation. So you compare that to, what is the starseed gospel? You yourself have come in to bring salvation.
Wow, talk about antichrist. Oh
yeah. It's a complete antichrist agenda, this whole notion of light workers and star seeds, all of that stuff. It's 100% antichrist. Then that's the spirit behind it. And I obviously didn't realize that. But what I did start to do was, again, it fed that narcissism, and it hit that need for a spiritual narcotic. I was like, oh, so I started to think that, oh, I chose this. Okay, I can deal with that. I can deal with that a lot better. I must be stronger than I think I am. It's a lot easier to think that I chose this life than it is just to be like, why am I suffering like this? So I started to believe that, yeah, I chose my life. I chose these lessons. I chose these struggles because I was growing, and I was helping other people grow into that next dimension, into that next level of consciousness, where, of course, we're all going back to source. We're all going back to God. We're all finding our way back to God consciousness. So it was a self-savior complex, just like the self-help stuff. It was a self-savior complex where now I not only believe I'm saving myself, but I'm helping save the world. And it gave me another sense of purpose. Like, oh, okay, so I need to do this. I need to struggle like this. I need to hurt like this. I need to feel my big feelings. I need to do shadow work, which is something in New Age that they really perpetuate, where it basically encourages you to make friends with your demons. I mean, that's not even a paraphrase. It's straight up, make friends with your darkness. You know, don't shy away from your darkness. Sit in your darkness.
Wow.
Allow your darkness to be there. Invite your darkness. You know, see what you can learn from your darkness. It invites you to be friends with your darkness. And so these are all things I just needed to do. I needed these relationships. I needed these these circumstances. My mom, I needed the death of my grandmom to happen, all for the sake of the collective ascension. And so, of course, the whole starseed gospel led to a deeper fascination with the stars, which led to astrology very easily, because then I started realizing that if I created my own life, if I chose my own life, if I came in this way, then I chose my birth chart. So what does that look like? And so in the meantime, I'm seeing someone who at that point in my life was like a spiritual sister, and she was quote unquote helping me astral project. She was helping me communicate with my Pleiadian family and my Pleiadian guides. So the Pleiades is a constellation. And that's where I was from.
So are you trying to get home or to, I'm not trying to laugh. I'm not trying to make light of it. I know you're like, just bear with me on this. Is the starseed thing, are you trying to like ascend home back to your planet? I mean, again, I'm not trying to make any joke or anything about it. What is the end goal with this whole thing that you're involved with, like with the starseed and astrology?
I think that's eventually like the end thing of it is that like, yeah, I would go back home whenever I end up dying, my light body would go back to the stars.
Okay, you guys, so that is the end of that 15-minute video. I think that there is a longer part to her testimony. I did link that video, put the link in the description. Tomorrow, I think I have one from an ex-warlock. And so I will be playing that tomorrow, and we'll just be going through this journey of people that have been coming out of things that are not aligned with the word of God. And so this should be an interesting part because you will hear very little of me and more of them. And so can't argue with that, can you? You guys have a good day. Bye.